So today I'm in my backyard and I am going to be fixing up a table. So this table has been in our house for many months. My sister found it, and I'm going to make it into a little ottoman / table for our outdoor seating area. So that's what I'm going to start on today. So the first thing I'm going to do is get as much of this chipped up paint off of the top of this thing and generally give it a good sand so that it's ready to take paint. So, what's that on my face? I'm going to sand the legs and the body here, and then I'm going to detach the body from the top. Can you see? That is gross. Okay, wow, that's looking so much better just with the knife. Much better. Because these are just so wobbly, I might as well just take them off. But you can see it just wants to come off. Woo! I just went and got some tools to dismantle the rest of the table. So now I'm just undoing all of the screws that attach the top to the base. Oh my god. Yes. Just remove that little thing. We don't want that. Just before the sun goes down, I'm going to attempt to put a very quick primer coat. Getting started, you can see how much it already looks better. Something kind of weird that me and my family have been doing recently is not, I don't know if this is a tip or just something that we do that has worked, is we put any paint that we're in the midst of using in a bag. So we have like 2 different trays, small trays of white paint in this bag. It's been in the bag for like a month and it's still usable. So that's what I'm using right now, is just like assorted white paint. That you can't see it, but right there, the 2 cats are watching me paint. So I am back out in my backyard working on my table into ottoman project. Hi, you are bored? All set up for painting at the same place I was yesterday evening. I'm just set up on a surface that we don't really care about getting paint on, but I'm also using Diet Coke cardboard. I'm using a roller just because I think it's easier, but use whatever you think is right. But I'm gonna get started with start painting. I know that a roller is kind of strange for something like this, but I find it goes on really smooth and looks finished. So glad I did the white coat first though. My god. Looks so much easier. We'll definitely have to do a few coats at least, because it is a light color. And it kind of goes on thin. Probably because we've had this paint in the shed for a while, but I'm just saving the top bit to paint last so that I can hold it while I paint. Gotta have a strategy. So now I'm just gonna let everything dry for a couple of hours and then I will come back for coat number 2. So I'm going to add a little bit more red. Okay, that is much more what we're going for here. They always say measure twice, cut once. I've measured this 4 times already and it keeps coming out different. So I'm gonna use this tape this time. Okay, so I had already done this, but I did measure the actual tabletop, which was 27 inches. And I marked it here. The 3rd line I did just now is actually 27 inches. But how do you know you're cutting it straight? I'm going to cut this foam now. I've eaten breakfast. I feel better. Still not great about cutting the foam, but I'm going to do it. so here's what we got. It's kind of jaggedy, but it's pretty good, honestly. If I did it myself. All right, so now I'm going to measure cut my fabric. Definitely want my squares to be straight. So I've cut all my fabric. I have a few inches on either side of leeway. If I need to tug it either way, we're all good. So now I'm going to get my cut piece into some dye. I've done some swatches, some tests of the dye just to be sure it's going to work. So first was this color Aquamarine. It's a RIT dye. This was not what we wanted, a little too bright. And then I also had a navy color, so I mixed it in with the Aquamarine. We got this, which is a little dark for us. You can't really see the black on it. And then I did mostly Aquamarine and just a little bit of navy, and we got more like this teal color. So that's what we're going for. So I got a bucket of hot water, and they say on the package of RIT to use something that you do not use for food. And if you do, you have to clean it with bleach or just throw it out. So in general, use something that you would use for like cleaning or something that you're not going to eat out of. Have my fabric right here. I have my dye. I have gloves on because the dye will get you. And I also have a little tester strip because I want to make sure that the color is right before I put that big piece of fabric that I just spent a lot of time cutting into it. So we got this one is this Aquamarine color, and then we have navy, and I'm going to mix like the tiniest bit of the navy in. Okay, truly just went and found a stick to mix this dye with. Okay, so that's my tester. I want it to be very vibrant, so I'm gonna put all the Aquamarine bottle in. Okay, so it's looking good in there. I really like the color, so I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna be like occasionally poking it and stirring it to make sure that it all gets evenly dyed. I forgot to say before that the RIT dye package even just recommends putting a bit of dish soap in there. That's why it's so sudsy. I think this also helps to evenly distribute the dye. I pulled it up just a tiny bit and it looks really good. I'm really happy with the color. So I'm gonna leave that for about 30 minutes. Coming out of the wash, I also used a fixative so it should last better. So I've just finished the next step, which is to sew these corners. So what I did is, it's actually very similar to how I did these napkins. I created a point on each corner and just sewed to create that seam I just showed you here. And then I cut off the excess. So I did that on all 4 corners. So I put it on the foam to see how it fits. It fits really nicely. The corners look really good. I'm really happy with it. And now I'm going to put the tabletop onto the bottom and then do a bunch of staples. So this is the bottom where the screws will go in to attach it to the leg. So I want to make sure that that is facing out. Now I'm going to use my staple gun and staple these into place. And I'm pulling it as tight as possible as I do that. Okay, so I'm just gonna do that all the way around, and I'm going to like flap down these flaps on the corners. That's it. So this is the final product. I'm really happy with the result because it cost almost nothing to make. We had the table, my sister found it on the street. I used a paint that we already owned, and I also used a fabric that we already owned. I only bought the dye. I had bought it for a different project though, so I don't know if that counts. I bought the dye, which was like $3 or $4, and then I bought the foam, which I used 2 coupons on, so it was about $15 to $20 when it would have been like $70. So I spent probably around $20 on this entire project, and I'm really happy with it. If you end up making something similar, feel free to tag me on Instagram at @thepenny Reno. Thanks for watching.